2 years ago I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and I went to counseling through my university. My therapist helped me realize the main source of my depression is my father. I also learned that I can say no and that I'm uncomfortable with something, and I can say it to anyone. Duh. My parents visited me one weekend and we were making lunch when my father decided to touch my butt. That makes me uncomfortable. Please stop that.
I'm your father, I'm allowed to touch you.
Please don't touch my bum, I don't want anyone to touch it. My father got mad at this.
When you were a baby, I wiped your ass, I have the right to touch your bum.
You probably bathed me too, so why don't you touch my breasts? He looked confused at this.
I'm not some sicko.
He started calling my mom forward so that he can get another person to go against me with him, but she doesn't want to get involved. Before he could get physically aggressive, I ran to my room and closed the door behind me before phoning the university services to file this issue for a possible future case. He burst into my room and demanded my phone when he saw it against my ear. He grabbed me and tried to take my phone from me. He's really big and quite strong, has hit me before when I tried defending myself, so I'm naturally scared of escaping. My mom was across the room just standing there and I tossed the phone at her so she can catch it. But she didn't even try. The phone shattered. Before they left abruptly, my father proceeded to tell me how useless I am and that I'm wasting his money. That I don't respect him. I kept quiet. They left and phoned me that night saying it's my fault I ruined their weekend and that I must sort myself out. I should stop being provocative. My therapist said I treated the situation quite well. But I'd like to hear from you guys what you would do in this situation. Entitled parent gets mad there's nothing vegan to eat at a barbecue restaurant. Backstory: I worked at a barbecue restaurant from when I was 12 to 20, my parents owned it, and I did everything from dishes, bussing, orders, food prep, alcohol, etc. I've done it all. Where I lived, the summer was the craziest. During every other season, it was dead. The summer saw all the crazies and stressed tourists, met some amazing people as well. Taking orders, I've seen and heard it all. I get if people have a bad day they cannot be as forgiving, however this isn't an excuse to be an ass. EP, Entitled Witch. K, Entitled Witch's Kid. M, me. D, my dad. Scene 1, blistering hot day. The line was out the door. This was a fast casual where you ordered at a counter. Everyone was running around trying to do 100 tasks at once. I was working the cash register / taking orders. Enter entitled parent and son. Hi, how you doing? Kind of brushes me off.
Fine.
What can I get started for you today?
Can my son and I see the vegan menu, please?
Side note, keep in mind the menu was right behind my head with every item clearly displayed. I'm sorry ma'am, we actually don't have a vegan menu, but do you have any questions about other items?
Well, what can I get here that's vegan?
Last side note, I'm actually vegan as well. I know working in a barbecue restaurant is vegan, but I've lost the taste after working there so long, so I can understand how it can be frustrating going places and not being able to find things to eat other than some lettuce scraps, but at least I'm not going into places where I know I can't get anything in the first place. She also wasn't standing with a husband or anyone else who looked like was going to order and may have brought them along with her. They were alone. Really the only thing we have is the side salad, and we could do that without croutons. Everything is made with meat, dairy, cooked in it.
Well, we don't want salad, we want something barbecued.
Me, kind of stumped. I'm so sorry, but that's the only vegan. EP, throwing her hands up and raising her voice.
Well, what are we supposed to eat? Absolutely ridiculous that you cannot cater to those who are vegan, vegetarian, etc.
I'm so sorry, it's just that we are a barbecue place that specializes in.
Let me speak to the manager.
At this point, the line is freakishly long behind her and people are starting to stare and give her that what the fuck look. I go to grab my dad who is unloading stuff from suppliers and I told him what was going on, so he is already annoyed with the situation and knowing there's nothing he can do to help.
Hi, I heard there was.
We are paying customers and it's ridiculous that you have nothing available for my son and I to eat. You are cutting a whole group of people out as paying customers blah blah blah.
Ma'am, I am sorry you feel this way, however you walked into a barbecue restaurant. We serve barbecue, we're not a vegan place and don't claim to be. If you want vegan food, there's a great place down the street I can point the way to. The sign outside says barbecue, ribs, brisket, etc. That's what we sell. and to walk into some place demanding a service or product that we don't advertise is on you. Now, we can make you up a big side salad and you can enjoy our patio, but if you are going to yell at my daughter and disturb the peace of other customers, then I'd suggest the restaurant down the street.
How dare you talk to me like that? Who do you think you are? We are never coming here again. You'll hear about it on Yelp. I'd like to speak to the owner. He will hear all about this.
I am the owner.
At this point, the entitled parent kind of screams insults and then storms out the door. My dad then called the owner of the vegan place down the street, his friend, and let him know who may be coming his way. I got back to working, and every customer who came up afterwards that was behind her just shit-talked her with me. Never saw a Yelp review. She gives vegans a bad rap. Then everyone clapped. Just kidding.
Entitled mom tries to get me put in special education for being autistic. Backstory: I am autistic, mild case and high functioning. At the time this took place, I was 7 and in kindergarten grade. In Denmark, school is a bit different than the US. Here it's daycare, to kindergarten, to school at age 5 to 6 starting in kindergarten grade or 0th grade, so it wasn't diagnosed yet, but my mom always suspected and told both kindergarten staff, teachers and parents, that I likely have it. Got diagnosed with Asperger's at 10 if anyone is curious. Some were understanding and respectful of this, most were neutral, but one specific mother, the entitled parent, thought that it was absolutely disgusting that I was around normal children, especially her daughter. And rather than doing the rational thing parents do when they don't like something at their current school, this woman instead spent her time pushing my mother to put me in special education. On with the story. Oh right, I also need to stress that this was 17 years ago, and while I don't remember exactly everything, like conversation specifics, some of this is just burned into my mind. Hence why I'm not including dialogue. I'm walking home from school with one of my good friends, maybe the best one. We'll call her Julie, who is the daughter of our entitled parent. I have always gotten along better with girls than boys. I was calmer than most boys most of the time, despite severe anger issues, and girls were more understanding, respectful and patient than boys for the most part. I might have to mention that I am one of those Aspies, people with Asperger's syndrome, who also have balance and sensory issues beyond your basic social incompetence and learning difficulties. So I am honestly not entirely solid on my feet at the time. So we're walking and talking about the day and new toys and TV shows and whatever else we could think of, as I begin stumbling and Julie, being the amazing girl she is, reaching out to catch me and support me. As she kind of reaches me, I begin falling down, and being a bit bigger than her, I accidentally pull her down with me. We both get scraped up, we make pain winces for a while, then get up. My house is closest, so I invite her in for a quick snack because I kind of hurt her. She says it's alright, was just an accident and I shouldn't think anything about it. I don't exactly remember or know precisely what happened next, but I got the cliff notes from my mom years later, who herself was told by other parents. I had already told her what happened earlier that day and we both laughed and I got a band-aid, happy little boy. But after this incident, entitled parent had seen what had happened to Julie, then proceeded to twist facts and send it out to many class parents, the neutral ones, via letter, and spread a story about how I had beaten up her daughter at a whim, and that I was a violent lunatic, and we needed to get me removed from the class. Some of the neutral parents were on the fence about me and supported her, and the rest remained neutral or didn't get the letter. Anyways, fast forward to next weekend, and we're headed to a birthday party for one of our classmates at his house. Parents of the birthday boy are among those who had been on the fence about me, and now thought I was a violent sociopath. Here I come to the party, gift in hand, asking my mom to not go in with me because I was embarrassed of her. She, as a good parent does, stays and watches to make sure I get an okay. I am stopped in the door and told that I am not allowed inside with the other kids. I am of course stunned and deeply confused about this and ask why, and me being 7 years old and him being adult, he just says I'm not welcome. I am very sad at this point and am yelling at him with tears in my eyes, so my mom comes out and asks what the hell is going on, and he tells her I'm not allowed inside. She's, of course, confused and outraged, and asks why, and he says that I was violent and a danger to the other kids, that I had beaten up another kid. My mom is confused, I am confused. My mom asks who I supposedly beat up, and he says Julie, and I am even more confused, as is my mom because we're best friends. This is a he said, she said situation and he decides to resolve it immediately, and calls on Julie, then asks him and she looks as confused as me and runs to me as she sees I'm sad. She says I fell, she tried to save me and accidentally got pulled down. He apologizes profusely and sends me inside with Julie to play and have fun. Was a lovely day. Here's where there's a bit more story I didn't hear about until years later. My mom and the parent, who now realized I was a good if odd, little boy. He and my mom immediately call the other parents and shares that none of what the entitled parents said was actually true, and from then on, the rest of the parents were on board with me staying here and not trying to force me into special education or anything like that. And when I started this special course a year later for my balance and sensory difficulties, which was during school, another parent even volunteered to have their kid join the class too, so I wouldn't feel weird about being taken out of class and go there alone. The entitled parent doesn't like having a potentially autistic near normal children, so she spreads lies to get me forced into special education. Sincerely hope that you enjoyed this load of cringe and that I posted it the right place. Also, that wasn't the only time this woman tried to indirectly mess with me and try to get me pushed into special education or spread lies about me to get me ostracized. It's a much shorter story, and I'll share it with you if you want to hear it.